the focus should be PSU banks right now. And Mayuresh Joshi Johnson with his quick word out there too. Mayuresh, my question is simple. For somebody who's listening to you right now and wanting advice on whether or not to buy a PSU bank because of all the news flow that has come out. I don't know if you heard the banking secretary on the channel as well or not. Would you go out and buy any of the large or mid-sized PSU banks?
Afternoon, Neeraj. Oh, yes, I was hearing the banking secretary on your channel, and clearly I think the capitalization needs that these PSU banks are much larger than what is getting meted out. Yes, I think it's a meaningful number that the banking secretary has mentioned now, and over the next few years it's going to be a meaningful number as well. So clearly I think, yes, the sentiment's playing out on PSU banks, but the internal accruals themselves or the internals for these banks are weak. So in terms of both credit growth and asset quality, I think these dual issues are playing truant on PSU balance sheets. And clearly a lot of these managements have been very conscious in growing the lending book very, very softly in the quarter gone by. So clearly I think unless the capex cycle revives, it will be difficult for their internal accruals to show a meaningful expansion, and the same getting reflected in return ratios. I think we'll be specific when it comes to the PSU bank, Neeraj. State Bank is something that we have liked in the past. We continue to like that. I think it's got a very stable base. The capital adequacy is very strong. The branch network is quite robust, and the return ratios itself are very strong. Again, the retail lending book and their advances which are secured on the retail side are quite high as well. So clearly State Bank is something that we preferred. We continue to prefer that within the PSU lot.
Okay, Mayuresh, stay on with us. We've had pretty much a marathon run by tracking all the stories since the start of the show. We'll take a short break right now. Lots more to discuss in the markets. The markets are at a high, and so are PSU banks. Get you more analysis when we come back in just after this 1 minute break.
That's of course ICICI Bank up. Well, that stock is doing okay, but I think the index at large now needs mention. Last 11 minutes of the trading day today, let's dedicate it completely to trading and what stocks are doing rather well. Before we get back to Mayuresh Joshi, he's been waiting patiently with us, but it's 3:20, so let's get in closing strategies from our experts. Mitesh, to you first, what is your top closing strategy?
The BTSC and MRF just hit 41,000 levels. I think still showing good momentum. Keep a 500 point stop loss. I think this could possibly even target 42,000 on Monday.
An unreal move on MRF. Tire stocks are strong, but this one is moving at another level. This is a new life high for MRF. Sandeep Wagle, what is your top idea?
जब BTST on a Wockhardt Pharma at a current level of 1578, 1580, keep a 12 rupees stop loss and play for a 25 to 30 rupees target in the first hour of Monday. And STBT on Titan, very high open interest, and the prices are correcting. Current price is around 320 to 323. A stop loss of 328, target of around 310, 312.
Dr. Reddy's, I'm just, by the way, this is a discussion that we'll have in just moments from now in about 9 odd minutes. But just one more stock really that I really want to focus on, and that is Dr. Reddy's. That stock is trading at new highs too. Come in on this one, Mitesh, very quickly. Would you initiate any fresh trades on Dr. Reddy's?
Yeah, it was a recommendation earlier in the day at around 40.30. I think 42.50 is what I think the stock can do. I'm not sure I want to initiate it right now, but any 1.5% cut, I think would be a buying opportunity. Keep a stop below 3950, and anything around 40, 40 would be good levels to buy.
Okay, fair enough. Mayuresh, counting down to market close, some of your high conviction ideas?
So clearly, Tanvir, I think out of the results that have come so far, Maruti is something that we still continue to like within the four-wheeler pack. Yes, I think in terms of earnings, it trades close to 220 rupees in terms of EPS FY17. But again, I think the growth has been stupendous across its product verticals. And clearly, I think the focus of the management, both in the rural and semi-urban areas, I think is paying off in a huge way. So again, Maruti is something that we are liking. Private space is something we continue to like. So Axis, ICICI Bank, within the housing finance companies, LIC Housing is somewhere we have a very strong conviction about. And within the mid caps, I think Action Construction Equipment is something that we still bank upon. I think once the capex cycle starts, I think it will be a clear beneficiary on that front. Mid-cap cement counters again, I think expected to post weak set of numbers, soft realization, and though the raw material costs will have some amount of expansion in margins, clearly I think the longer term story is yet to play out for all these companies. So JK Cement, JK Lakshmi Cement is something we continue to like.
Okay, just an alert there, 5 PSUs up for divestment, and we'd had some flashes coming to the effect earlier on as well. The government to shortlist 3 merchant bankers for divestment and 5 PSUs, and those Concor, NMDC, Unexpected Lines, Oil India, MMTC and ITDC, something that we broke on the channel. Our reporters have been working overnight to get at those details, but yeah, that's pretty much laid out the divestment roadmap by the government.
I think NMDC won't go through. If the government can come out and believe, or I heard some flashes day before yesterday saying that it's not the right time to divest some of the upstream companies, and which is the divestment target has been brought down. It's clearly not a good time to divest NMDC for sure. At 101, it's trading at fresh lows, I think. So I don't know if IDFC would go through, or NMDC would go through or no. But anyways, these are the names that the agencies are saying. We'll actually get back to this. This is something that is coming from the agencies, really. It's not an ET Now story.
Actually, we can ask Mayuresh for a quick opinion there. Mayuresh, given the market appetite and the response and also timing for a divestment program to take shape over the next few months, do you think this kind of follow-up paper would be absorbed by the market at these valuations?
So clearly, Tanvir, I think it's a case-to-case basis. So I think as you're discussing something like an NMDC, I think in my opinion, again, looking at where iron ore prices are at the current juncture, and the company is clearly struggling. So in both volume, production terms, dispatch terms, realization terms, I think the pressure is being seen on the balance sheet. So again, I think it has to be a case-to-case basis. And again, I think it has to be priced attractively for investments to come through. So I think case-to-case basis is how I see paper appetite, specifically on the PSU side.
Mayuresh, Force Motors, have you looked at this one? The kind of rally that it's had and the results that have come out today?
No, stupendous rally, Neeraj, and I've been looking at the stock for the past few days. But again, I think unbelievable. But unfortunately, we don't cover the stock, so very difficult to comment.
Motors though, Force Motors is the one that I'm talking about. It'll come up on your screen, and even after the numbers, it's still holding out in the green. So it has had a really good rally, 2.5% up in today's session as well. Quickly, what else is moving? Sun TV is up 9.5%. Sandeep Wagle, very quickly, would you take any kind of trading positions on a Sun TV? It's up 9%.
No, you cannot, the financials do not match, and it should have been bought at much lower levels. At this level, you can only watch the stock. There is some more upside to the tune of 360 or so, but I won't take a call.
Sell a Titan, would you? 324 down 4.5%.
As a pair trade with a buy in a Wokhart and a sell in Titan, that is what we have done.
Okay, Mitesh Thakkar, would you go out and sell a Titan today?
I think so, Neeraj. Even buying into a 320 put may not be a bad idea. It's given a fresh breakdown, so yeah, it does look like one good stock to have some kind of short exposure on.
Mayuresh, Sun TV, and I just wanted to get your perspective on some of the media names, especially Sun TV. We just had a word from the management. They're talking about a fairly impressive ad revenue growth, which they think is sustainable, and subscription as well as the overall DTH numbers have not looked bad either. Do you think with this 22% gain the stock has seen this week, there's more to go?
So clearly, Tanvir, I think when you're talking about how the business is panning out, yes, I think it's always maintained a market leadership position when it comes to their cable network, the DTH and the subscription and the digitalization story. I think it's a well laid out story that over the next 4 years, once phase 3 comes through, I think the huge potential that DTH itself has, I think the kind of management commentary we've heard even from Dish TV, I think very supportive of the argument that the earnings growth can be supported by that. Again, I think if you look at the long-term valuations for a Sun TV trading much below its long-term averages. However, I think the concerns related to the regulatory overhang that the stock has does not warrant a fundamental view, at least at this point of time. Yes, I think the ad and subscription revenues might hold, but again, I think this overhang will create some kind of noise when it comes on the fundamental scale. So yes, trading wise, the stock might still respond, but fundamentally I think we still like the print media stock. So something like Hindustan Media Ventures is something that I'll still continue to like. Even the numbers were very impressive there. Newsprint prices going down, supportive of EBITDA margins, valuations also not too expensive at the current juncture.
Okay, and an extension to just the broadcast, the media space extended out. Dish TV came out with a solid set of earnings. Do you think most of the turnaround is in the price at 120? Touched that mark, but within that range of 110 to 120?
I believe so, Tanveer. And again, I think if you look at 3-4 vital parameters, the subscription cost is quite high for Dish TV, even at the current levels. The free cash flows that are expected over the next year and a half, close to that 120 crore on mark. They still have a decent amount of debt on their books. The churn ratio has been stabilized for the company. The ARPUs more or less are in a range and expected to grow. And again, I think the broad theme of digitalization picking up steam, huge potential lying there. Media reports that I read anywhere between 9 to 11 billion dollars in terms of potential size over the next few years in terms of pure subscription going forward. So clearly I think most of the parameters are built into the price in my opinion. So clearly I think the stock has given stupendous returns over the last few weeks and quarters, and I believe that at least from an FY16 perspective, from an earnings background, I think most of it is in the price.
Okay, Mayuresh, just stay on with us. We'll get your closing thoughts in just a bit. First, just mark the markets as we wind down trade for the session for the week. And you're looking at, in the last 2 minutes, the market pretty much closing at the high point of the session. That'd be encouraging. 85.33 coming in for the index, about 1.25% higher, a little over that actually. And for the broader markets too, the mid cap and the small cap indices, we've done well today. So all in all, broad-based buying interest. It's really about the market closing at a high, it's about the bank nifty closing at a high, and it's about PSU banks this afternoon. So Bank of Baroda, 6%. I think the weekly return for this would be northwards of 20%. It's really been a week for PSU names. PNB yesterday was a star, but in today's session it's kind of lagged a bit to the other names. Bank of India 3.5% high. I think the ones that really benefit from the recapitalization program are the ones which are rallying the most. SBI also, you've not seen this one participate in the PSU bank rally all of this week, so nudging higher with a 5% gain, 270 there. A whole host of them actually picking it up in the session, followed by Lupin, which is up 5%. You have HCL Tech, which has done well too, above the 1,000 mark. ICICI Bank must said, and I would say keep an eye out for this stock given its underperformance in the private banking space and the numbers showing a sharp improvement in asset quality from the previous quarter. Stability coming in on the gross and net NPAs would perhaps signal that there could be some follow-up interest within this underperformer from the private banks. Hero MotoCorp up 3.5%, M&M higher by about 3%. There's ITC, which has looked good. Asian Paints have performed. So combination, the leader has been the banking space. There's no taking away from that, but you've had other index heavyweights as well pitch in to help the market actually close higher. To the losers, and you have a BHEL which is a bit soft. Kotak Bank numbers, as merged standalone entity weren't very good. So 3% lower there, sub 700. BPCL down about 2%. Tata Power, Tata Steel weak. Punjab National Bank was weaker as well. Like I said, from the PSU lot, this one was an underperformer in the session today. However, for the week, it's had a good run. And you have some of the other PSU units, so NTPC, Power Grid, a bit soft.
Well, a bunch of mid-caps really. I could highlight almost all the PSU banks, so Union Bank, IDBI, anything which is about to get recapitalization money is doing well. So it's not just the large caps, the mid-sized ones have not done too badly for themselves. Glenmark, you heard the management on ET now earlier on in the day. That stock is ending up 5.5%. So one of the top gainers on the CNX 100. Actually, Wokhard hasn't done too badly. Lupin has not done too badly. It's kind of a pharma day really. Dr. Reddy's too has participated. Aarti Drugs, I don't know what it's doing ahead of the numbers, but was extremely active yesterday. Should company on screen today as well. It's actually given up almost all of its gains. But what else on the broader end of the spectrum? Rajesh Exports, 14% up, big move there. Dredging Corporation, Sun TV after its numbers, you heard the management on the show, and that stock has done well, 8.5% up for Sun TV as well. Will come up on your screen. There is strength in almost all retailers. So future retail, Shoppers Stop may have reacted a bit to its numbers, but I think in the morning, almost all the retail stocks, Trent, future retail, Shoppers Stop, etc., were all doing well. You also heard Sanjeev Goenka say that Spencer's has broken into the green. CSE, of course, was in the red for a bunch of other reasons, but Spencer's, the retailer, hasn't done too badly. India Cements has some bit of green to it. There is KPIT Tech, which is not doing too badly. Speaking of technology, Nuclear Software has had a forgettable trading day. It's down 15% or probably more. Extremely poor quarter. And you will hear the management on ET now as well, but I think on Monday, but not a good quarter. Actually, HSIL, Gati, and Chennai Petro are a few of the others which have corrected. Colgate, despite the bonus, is down 4.5% as well. And Titan, because of the results, is down 4%. A bunch of other stocks, really, we can go on and on, but I think it was all about the PSU banks in today's session. Final thoughts from all our experts. And Mayuresh, before we thank you, I just want one quick perspective on what did you make of the mid-cap IT space, and if the view has changed after the earnings season on any of those. Nuclear Software, very poor. Almost everything else in the mid-cap IT space, extremely good numbers. Have you guys or your research team changed the rating on any of the mid-cap IT names?
No, not really, Neeraj. I think we're still staying put on the top tier names, and the top tier numbers have been quite good as well. So I think if you take Infosys, for example, I think they posted a brilliant set of numbers. Wipro did manage to deliver a decent set of numbers, in my opinion. Tech Mahindra, with the profit warning that they had given, I think surpassed expectations of a lot of analysts on the street. So I think we still remain quite optimistic around the tier 1 names within the IT pack. So Infosys, SCL Tech Mahindra is something that we'll continue to like.
Mayuresh, we'll let you go at that. Thanks so much for taking the time out and joining us. And thanks so much, Mayuresh, for waiting by patiently as well.
Thank you so much.
That's Mayuresh Joshi waiting by patiently with us while Chandra Kochar was addressing the media on the numbers. For final thoughts from our experts, Mitesh.